Okay, guys. Okay, guys. Welcome. I welcome every single person here. I welcome every single person. All right. For the fact that you're joining, okay, let's start it. If you're joined already, you're highly welcome. If you're planning to join, you're highly welcome. If you're still thinking of joining, I'm still welcoming you in advance. So anything you're doing right now, you're alright, and we're welcoming you anyways. All right. Okay. All right, guys. So I still welcome every single person. People are still joining. People are still planning to join. People are still thinking of joining. All right. So in that sense of that, I think we should just kick start. Okay, or about starting. All right. So that's for that. Okay. I think I should just quickly introduce myself. I'm Yev Graphics by name, and I'm happy to see you. I'm still happy to teach you guys today again. All right, so at first we're gonna be starting up, and as I said, I welcome you guys. And if you're seated already, just grab your seat very tight. And if you're a student and you're a young adult still in school, out from school, you're not on the wrong place, you're not on the wrong platform. All right, because everything we're gonna be saying here is gonna benefit you, and everything you're saying here is more like try is going to open, or let's just say you're going to review, kind of unveil things to you that you have not seen or considered as a young adult, as a young youth, and you have not even you have not even thinking of even taking that part. So that's the main thing that we were saying here, and our stream so far has covered a lot of topics already that has to do with students. And as I always said, it's more like is my network share a little, is my network share a little. All right, I said here today, and we're going to be in today is more like, okay, firstly is what's our topics, or let's just what we have been doing already is more like to teach students, let's teach students, or let's say it's all about a kind of life after school. And we a lot of already, a lot have been said already, and we are still saying more. And part of what we've been saying already is just more like we are letting our young adults know, we are letting our young youth know, we are letting them, or trying to open their eyes when it has to do with life after school, because such stage at one's life is very relevant, and it shouldn't be a kind of ignored, or will I say like a kind of neglected. So it's more like a critical stage of a youth life, an adult life, an undergraduate life. So everything we're saying here is more like shaping their paths. Now, as I said, being in school, or anything I'm going to be saying here, is more like school is not going to teach you, because it's not their objective, it's not their goal. They are not meant for that. Like that is not why, and the reason they were structured or placed to be. So it's more like teaching you, developing your mentals, knowing how to read and write. But everything I'm saying here is more like life, and it's more like a course on its own. Now, it will go to benefit you as a student, it's going to benefit you as a young adult. Reason or why, maybe when you know all of these things, you're going to start seeing some things, and you're going to picture, or let's just say you're going to start doing some things in a certain way as a youth, as a young adult. Now, what we're trying to avoid, this saying that they normally say school is a scam. Now, let me just smile. Okay, the reason for this thing is just, is everything we've been saying here is because our youth, our young adults, we are not taught everything we're saying here. Now, they went to school, and that was cool. But had it been that school taught them all of these things, like most of them wouldn't have made some mistakes they did. And why I said is not school responsibility. Me and you know that you going to school, you attending any university or tertiary institution is more like certificate oriented, more like when you're done, maybe within a specific period of time, you're going to be issued a certificate, more like that. And moreover, that certificate alone, we have said, or like, this one that is not scientifically proven, this one is psychologically proven, it's not good for a student to totally depend on his or her certificate alone. Now it's a very very great risk because this is what is leading, or that saying that school is scam, or let's just say this is what is driving, or let's say luring our students to that. And what I still mean there is, when, okay, now let me just give a practical example. What I'm just trying to say, just like when most of our students depend on certificate alone, now they are in school, they are not thinking about learning a skill, they are not thinking about starting up a small business that they can still collide or they can still merge up while still in school. They are not thinking about anything, they are whiling away their time going for lectures alone. Now that school remind, just get me, I'm not saying going for lectures and being serious is no, I'm just trying to pick a kind of prove a point there. Now they are most, mind you, students used to have leisure time. Now all these things I'm saying can be kind of or put in place, or one can just adapt to it, maybe try fixing it in his or her maybe leisure time or so. Now what I'm still saying is more like, if they feel not to learn skill and all of that, if they should depend on their certificate alone totally, maybe now if they're out, that's not what we're praying for. I'm just giving you an instance, more like an illustration. Look, if they're out and it now happen that, remind you, if you guys are 200 300 in well, let's say in the department, trust me, with this let's say our generation, I don't know, let's say this era, or let me just say this our modern world, like employment is not what you're going to be sure of. And I can assure you that people are diversity, like plenty of people, many people study different things and they're actually ending or seeing themselves doing different things in life. So this is more like brought something, and it's more like anything can happen, and it's more like a lot can cause a lot of things. So as a student you have to be, you guys to guide, like what I mean by guide is just to be prepared. That's just what I'm trying to say there. You have to guide yourself all round, both mentally and psychologically, because coming out in school is more like a different world. And if you're not strong, if you're not taught, and if you're not a kind of prescribe what it looks like or how it feels, you're really going to make some mistakes. And that mistakes, most times like it has the ability to ruin one's life, and most times it can destroy one's career entirely. So you may ask, what are these mistakes? Okay, it's just like a student that was not opportune to learn a skill, maybe when he or she is still in school, and peradventure he or she comes out, graduates. One is that he or she just with certificate, he or she doesn't have any skill, doesn't have any ability, cannot do anything apart from, like, I don't just know, just get my point. He or she is more like certificate oriented. Now if that certificate should fail, maybe peradventure he or she was not able to, or he applied for work, mind you, most of our organizations now, that I don't just know, now let me explain, they are looking for problem, not very very painful, but that's just the fact, they are looking for problem solving or employees, or let's say or a kind of workers. Now your certificate is not alone, that is why it's not alone. You have to possess this skill or even have the ability to do other things. Now most of their test or even recruitment process is going to require you, or you're going to keep your certificate by the side, you're going to do, most of them is computer and all of that, so it has different details. So if you're just on, or let's just, if you're depending on the certificate alone as a student, as an adult, and you're listening to me now, you have to start shifting, or let's just say you have to start changing that mindset that your certificate alone is enough. It's a very very great risk. And mind you, that's not what we're talking about today. We have a very vital topic to talk about today. I was just trying to a kind of see Jesus, I was just trying to a kind of our this a kind of tell our objective and goal, or what we were trying to avoid, and all of that, I was entering into details. But that's for that. There was a live stream before this section that you're watching now. So maybe if you're not opportune to join the live streaming session, maybe I will just quickly introduce this topic. And if it interests you, maybe you just try and check it. I don't know, but I think it's interesting. Let me just say the topic here before we, mind you, we have something big today. We're going to still get to what we have today, but firstly, I just want to introduce last section that was yesterday's. Was it yesterday? Sorry, guys. Last today's section, and for the sake of people that we are not going to join, so they can join. Alright, so let me just quickly do that. Okay, that's last section was okay. Law of small beginning. Sorry guys, the law of small. daily improvement. I'm talking rubbish. Okay, I'm serious now. The law of small daily improvement. That was, if you check, maybe after this session, if you just try check our last section, what will I? Okay, our last life session we did, it was it was okay. The thumbnail there, I think the law of small daily improvements. Okay, maybe I will just try saying some things on it, or let's say that concerns it, or let's just say part of what we discussed then before we get into to what we have to do. Okay, now let's just start. Okay, hearing the word like plainly. Okay, now let's start. Okay, at first let me advise you, if you're seated already, if you can comprehend, I'm giving you a thumbs up. But maybe you need to pen something that I don't know. But if you still can comprehend, I'm giving you a thumbs up. All right, enough of that. Let's just kickstart. So at first, the law of small daily improvements. What we said there was like, it's more like a law. And what makes it a law? And at first we defined a law, and what we said on the section was a law is more like a kind of something that guides. Is more like a law. It's more like a kind of a prescribed, or I don't know, just something like that, that guides a particular thing, or that guides a particular thing to be done in a certain way. So it can be seen as a law. And apart from that, okay, we define, okay, small daily improvement as a more like a routine something. Daily improvement, the law of daily improvement, the law there is the daily, is more like a routine, what you do daily. And we said it's more like an improvement because it's an improvement in the aspect of, okay, there is saying that if you're increasing 10 or 1% daily, is a sign that you're making progress. The main thing there is improvement. That improvement there is the progress. Now, regardless of the rate that is increasing, but so is increasing, you're really making an improvement. And what we're trying to relate to students there is more like, if students, like, okay, at first we gave an example. We used a student that's, okay, we used some students, for example. Now what we said there was like, okay, we said students is in a department and they are studying the same course. Now one is a kind of giving out 1 hour daily reading. Just get my illustration. One is giving us 1 hour daily reading. Moreover, the other one feels that he or she is talented and he or she is not reading, and maybe he or she do a kind of late cramming stuff like that, maybe 2 days or a day before the exam. Now maybe, okay, now let me ask you a question. That person giving out, or let's just, I don't know, is more like giving out 1 hour, is reading, and the other person is normally reading, the other person normally reads or crams 2 days to exam. Now if we were to ask who is going to be more efficient in results, or let's just say in write, or even more confident, or like, obviously is the person that is giving out daily reading. Now even if the talented person is giving 100 hours a day before exam, he or she cannot beat the person giving out daily reading. Now what's the secret there? Is the daily routine, is the daily activity. That's 1 hour yielding every day. It has something that is building, like it has something that is empowering, or let's just say infusing on that person, that you cannot just get in an instance. Do you get that? So that is more like what daily routine, or like what it can, or the effect it can have on someone. That's just more like that. And that it's okay, we said that. So it normally has a great effect because you're doing it daily and it's becoming part of you, and you cannot beat someone that is doing something daily with you that is doing it occasionally. That is why they said a daily activity beats occasional stuff. So that's for that. So I don't know if the topic interests you. Maybe after this session you just check on it. Meanwhile, we have something today. Let's just head to what we have today. All right. Okay, in today's section live stream, in today's live session live stream. Okay, we have, if you check our thumbnail, like, if I did mean like you checked our thumbnail before joining, you would have seen our topic. But let me just quickly introduce that today's section topic is just more like 30 days student business challenge. Now, as first, let me just give a kind of what it's all about so that you get, or let's say when we start talking, you know where we're coming from. Now, this is more like a way, or let's just say how it's just more like a business. Get the point? 30 days more. Okay, today is the first day actually, and it's more like 4 weeks something. Sorry, it's more like, okay, we're going to we are going to share it to four section. This today is the first section, and today we're going to be talking about from day one to day seven. Remind you, it's 30 days. So 30 days is more like 30 days is more like 4 weeks, yes, if I'm correct, and that's a month. So it's more like 30 days, and we split it to 4 days section. We are going to be covering day one to day seven on a section which we're doing today. So today is day one to day seven, and it's more like a foundation. Now, what is still trying to say, or let's just say what we're trying to aim or what we're trying to communicate to students through this section is more like them having a kind of structure, or let's just say what's okay, how they should position their mind when it has to do with or business. And this business was talking about is more like flexible one, and our aim is just to help our young students to start up something before they're out. And we are saying don't wait to graduation before you start up something. Don't wait to graduation before you start learning a skill. Don't wait to graduation before you start a small business that you can manage, because sometimes if you're out there from school and you're stranded, it can be frustrating, and we know how it feels. That's just what we're trying to avoid for our Nigerians, for our beloved, okay, let me put it this way, for our beloved Nigerian students. So that's just for that. And what we're trying to, okay, at first we're going to be detailing it down, so I just hope you get you just follow us along, and you're gonna get everything we're saying here. Firstly, just like, okay, clarity and idea selection. Now, if we're talking about clarity and idea selection, at first, if we're talking about business, okay, business is more like, maybe, okay, it's just more like what you can do, or let's just say what you want to do, what you think you can sell and all of that. So at first, this clarity, like you should know the exact thing that you want to venture in. That is the first idea, or let's just say that is the first thing that needs to come to your mind, or that you should, or you kind of start thinking whenever, okay, if you're a student, if you're young adults, whenever you're trying to, or you're looking towards starting up a business, this is the first thing that comes to your mind. Like, it's more like you have to be sure, clarity, like, and clarity comes first, then idea selection, like the type of thing to venture into. So that is just what clarity and idea selection is just trying to say. And apart from that, now, okay, remind you, this week one, and we said here, okay, mindset reset. Now, when we're talking about mindset reset, it's more like positioning your mind, like you knowing what you want to enter, or let's just say you knowing what you want to picture in. Okay, for instance, it's just like most people, okay, at first most people feels that they cannot just start up something, they cannot just get to doing something, because if you ask them what's the reason why, they will tell you that I don't have so amount of money to kickstart, I don't have so resources and all of that. And we're saying here, at first, what you need to get to your mind is anything small starts, okay, anything big starts small. Like, no one just, okay, even let's just say stories that like we have came across are maybe through books or content, stuff like that. We have been told that, or let's just, we have seen so many great people, maybe their process and how they started and how they ended, stuff like that. And it's obvious, and it's very clear that most of them started small. It was not more like, it doesn't look like it when they started. Everything big starts small. That is just what you need to start. That's what, like, it needs to be on your mind as a young adult. So even apart from business, starting up everything is more like you're going to start from scratch. At first it may be frustrating, nobody is going to be applauding, everything is going to look rough, you're going to face failure, and everything is going to be happening at once. So that is why you need to be prepared, because it's more like I don't know, when it hits you, Jesus Christ, when it hits you, if you're not emotional and mentally prepared and ready, it really hurts, and if it leads you to sin, I don't just know, but that's just what I'm trying to say. And it's not something that one we pray to feel or like to experience. So because it's not just good. That is just it. It's not just good. And what I'm trying to say in essence is you, or as a student, as a young adult, starting up something while you were still in school it's just the best thing. Now, at first, remember we were talking about 30 days business challenge, and maybe I was a kind of diverted, but let me just come back so that you get what I'm trying to say. At first, I said mindset reset. You have to reset this mindset by, you have to start up something, stop procrastinating, stop being like, I'll start it tomorrow, I'll start it next week. All of these things, procrastination is the I don't just know, but it's a very, very will I say enemy that students normally face, or what kills dreams. Procrastination has killed a lot of dreams, and it's still killing if care is not taken, if nobody is talking about it. And the most painful aspect of this is nobody caught. Like, I'm being serious, this is very broad. Like, a lot of people need to start saying a lot about this, because nobody is talking about life after school. Most of them are just conscious and ready to just tell you that school is a scam. Now, as I said, what really cause that is when students are not being taught what life looks like, when they are not even prepared, when they are not guided, like when nobody told them or said to them, Alpha, do this one while you're still in school. Now, if they're out, if things didn't work as planned, and moreover, let me just try changing your mindset. If you're still thinking that this world, or let's just say this current era, is more like, if you just study, pass with a good grades, you're going to be opportunity to get good work. Gonna did this. Let's just say gonna did it, because long or is no longer working now. True, if you're still having that kind of mindset, I beg you to just change it, because more of our eras now, and more of this current time, is more like your skill and what you can do. No manager is ready or willing to employ you if you cannot create value, if you cannot solve a problem, if you're not going to add a value, or I don't know, to the organization. That's just the fact. So big certificates and big grades sometimes is not enough. That's just what I'm trying to say. So he's still leading you. Okay, he's still pointing. Okay, that okay. What led me to that was, okay, you by prioritizing your certificate alone without taking. Okay, now how this can actually help as a student, how maybe starting up a small business can help. Let me give you an instance. It's just like someone that graduated, maybe first, second, third year, you've not gotten a job, or you have tried though, but you were not opportune to be employed and stuff like that. Sometimes it's like that. And if you're not guided, mind you, this is more like a support system. What keeps you going? Mind you, let me just add a kind of bonus tip. There is what they call failure. Now, I don't know, everybody knows it, and even if we were to define it maybe from our own view, we can just tell you, or let's just say from a normal view, let's just say failure is just more like a negative side. It's not always good, or let's say one doesn't always admire it. It's just like a backside of something, or a bad occurrence that normally happens to people, and is obviously say that it's more like an inevitable substance, or inevitable stage of one's life that you cannot run away from, or you cannot hide from, and it's more like something that normally happens. So to address that, since it's an inevitable something, and since is more like a part of life and part of growth, now to manage it, or let's say to actually handle it well, we said, or we are addressing students, or we are giving this view to see failure as a feedback, not a room to stop, not a room to give up on oneself, not a room to feel less, or start questioning their worth. Rather, they should see it as something, or let's say stops that guides them, stops that it kind of prepares them for something. Now, let me just give you an instance. It's just like when you're climbing a ladder, or when you're doing a particular thing. Now, when you fail, it doesn't give you a room to stop, or say that I'm not doing again. Rather, if you're even starting up again, you're going to be more anxious, careful, and intentional. Do you get that? That's what failure does to you. And when you're that's anxious and all of that, now when you're still climbing again, you're going to be intentional about that place that you feel. Have you seen it? Now, if you're actually doing that, you're going to maybe avoid that, or try climbing it maybe in a way, I don't know, in a more or appropriate way. Do you get that? So by that, it has communicated sense to you, it adjusted you, and it has so improved you on that aspect. Do you get that? So this is just what like it looks, and how it can really help. So you're not to see it as something to give up on oneself or something to just start feeling that the world had ended or stuff like that, but moreover to see it as a kind of something that is driving you. It's more like something that brings out the best. A kind of I don't know, no, but that just it brings out the best from you. Like when you feel you're going to, maybe if you're doing, if you're working on a something or you're working on a project, if you feel you're going to look for a more possible way, strive for more appropriate way to do it in a better and in a more efficient way. Now that is what caused it, because you failed, that is why you did more research. So you ought to see it this way as a student. In order, the effects, or let's say what is really going to do is not going to be enough. It's going to, it helps your mind. That's number one. It helps your mind. Well, let's say it tightens your mind. Like you're going to be, like you're just going to be strong. And when you experience all of this, you're not going to easily quit. You're not going to easily stop. You're going to persist, strive more. That's just the way they're striving more. All right. So that's for that. At first we said, oh, it's more like mindset reset. So I tried resetting your mindset by telling you that it's more like uh, what you want, and business is more like starting small. Don't, you can dream big but start small. That's just the fact, and we're there. So secondly, it's just more like skill discovering. Now there's this thing that people normally miss: skill discovery. Haven't discovered the type of business that you want to venture in. Skill discovery. Now this is a critical time, or let's just say is a critical moment, and it's also hidden one, because most people, or let's just say more of, or let's just say most of our entrepreneurs don't know this. It's more like a critical time. Now what's the criticality there? It's more like a period to discover the skills that you have. Now let me bring it down. I said the next step that follows is skill discovery. Now you're gonna ask yourself, what skill do you have? What can you do? What problem can you solve? Like what can you really offer together? So it's more like, it's more like the skill that you have, and what's okay. Firstly is what you can do. You ask yourself, what can I do? What value can I render? What business can I venture in? Now these are okay. I am talking about skill. Now you're going to search, or let's just say examine yourself to know the actual skills that you have and what you can do. Now imagine, okay, if we're talking about skills, imagine if I can maybe, if I'm a digitalist, let me just put it that way, digitally, like I can operate computer. Let me just put it that way. Maybe that's actually a skill. Now, if I'm trying to start up a business, firstly, I've discovered I have the skill, and I can or consider it, or let's just say anything I'm doing or starting up a business can come from that angle, because I'm already a specialist on that. So, do you get that? This is just a kind of a process, knowing, or let's just discovering your skills. What you can do, what service can you render, what you can do best. And sometimes you may need to ask someone, what do you think I can do best? What do you think I can do good at? What do you think that I can do efficiently well? So you're not left out. You can equally ask questions, and asking questions will be a great, what's it called, a great benefit, because most times you may not know your ability, most times you may not know your skills, most times you may not know what you're good at. So maybe good friends around, or family members, just ask different people, what do you think, what business idea can you give me, what do you think that I can do well if I'm trying to start up a business? So you can equally do this, and it helps to it helps when it has to do with self-discovery. And that's the second step. And the third step here is more like problem discovery. Now, having discovered your skill, mind you, is a business, and I'm trying to it's just more like this, as I said earlier, this week one, it is more like mindset, and it's more like foundation. So you actually need to know all of this before we migrate to the upper one. So at okay, the third one I'm saying here, problem discovery. Now when I'm talking about problem discovery, this sense, I'm not talking about fighting, I'm not talking about quarreling. Problem would mean in business is more like what is scarce around your area, what people are looking for, what is rare, what people are demanding for and in a high rate, stuff like that. You should get better. Like problem, okay, let me just give a practical example so that you get what I'm saying. It's just more like in a oh my god, maybe my network was bad. I was actually fixing that, so it's fine. Let's just proceed. I just fixed my network now. It was actually bad. My village people, I don't know, but that's okay. So if we're to proceed now, okay, what were we talking about? We were actually on, I think, okay, problem discovery. Okay, yeah. If I've been following you, so we were actually on problem discovery, and part of what we were saying there is just more like, firstly, you need to know the problem that exists. And we said problem we were talking about in this sense is not more like fighting problem or so. We're talking about things that is in demand, things that people are looking for, things that is real, things that, like, I don't just know, like your, well, let's say your location, or let's just the place you reside. I think you should actually fetch out, or let's just say filter out, it has to do with business, what people really want, what few people are selling, what is in high demand and stuff like that. So this is more like discovering problem process. And in this sense, or let's just say in this process, is very vital, or let's just say it's very important. You take your time, and maybe you get the roots, or let's just say the actual thing that is missing. Sorry guys, I'm talking about problem, and I said problem in this sense, or what I'm talking about in regards to business, is more like things that people are looking for, looking towards to buy, things that people, like, they want to buy it, but is not located around that area. So these are just more like opportunities. Maybe entrepreneur will tell you is an opportunity, stuff like that. So you're to discover it and actually know how you're gonna fix yourself in solving those problems. Now, his advice, like, if you're able to discover all these problems, maybe you just look for one that you can solve. Maybe if it's a uni will tell you, maybe you just open a place for printing, stuff like that, because people, students normally do their assignment and print a lot of documents. So I'm just giving you a kind of illustration. If we're talking about school now, and we'll ask, what is the what common problem that students normally face, at least we'll mention food, and maybe place to charge their stuff, or place to make their hair and stuff like that. So these are just common problems that university students are facing. So you can, if you're in that shoe, and if you actually can try fixing yourself, that is problem discovering. And when you get a right, when you discover all of this, just try solving one. I mean is just choosing or a one to start doing. Solving one, I mean, is just to, like, the one that you can actually handle. So that's for, on that note as well, we still have, I think, for three. So okay, idea generation. Oh, this has to do with plenty things. Now, idea generation, let's bring it down. What I mean there is, you're going to know how to go about. Now, your firstly is, okay, firstly is more like, I reset your mind by telling you you can't do it. Anything big, start small. You can actually start small and get there. It's just matter of time and process. And second one I said is just more like skill discovering. You're going to discover the skill you can do. You're going to discover skills that you have, what you can do. And I refer to skill discovering as more like, what you can do, what you can serve, what you can do best in, what you can really perform well in. So it's more like skill discovering. And I said again, problem discovering. Now it's more like you fetching out, or let's just say looking out, featuring problems that people are facing, things that is in a high demand, things that your location they are not selling it, stuff like that. So, and as I said that again, like your base, like where you reside and live, like the problems can differ. So, and I gave an illustration. I said if it's a school or a university, face or usually face is more like looking to charge their phones, looking for or places to buy phone stuff, looking for places to buy cheap food and rest. So this is more like a social institution problem. So I just use it to a kind of give you a picture of what I'm trying to say. So that's for that. And again, I'm saying idea generation. Okay, this was where I was actually making a lot of emphasis. I said idea generation, you're going to get this a kind of this needs a critical thinking. Now, what I mean by critical thinking, you're going to know your plans, like you're actually going to know how you're going to or venture into it and get it done. Now it's just more like I don't know, figuring out process. Let me just safe to call is figuring out process as so, because it's not more like time that you're going to take process your plans, like check how you can actually do this. And what I want to bring one thing to the picture. What I'm saying here is more like a destination. Remind you, now this business idea generation, you can see it as a goal. It can also be a goal. Now, what I mean by a goal is just more like step by step guide, how you can actually achieve that, how you can actually aim at that, and it can also be referred as what's it called, a roadmap. A Let's assume that you want to go to Lagos. Lagos is your final destination. That is where you want to go. But you're going to look for a way to enter car and all of that. So it can be seen as a goal. It's just the bit by bit or the actual stop by stop and or map, or let's just say stop you take get to the actual place. Now, if you were relating it to a business, it's just like strategies that you're going to take step by step, what to do at the right time, what not to do, steps to take, like what to start putting in ground and how to treat and all of that. So this is what needs to come if we're talking about idea generation. Your idea generation may be different from other people's own. So this is why you don't need to copy. It's more like you, and more like you figuring it out. So it's more like you're going to figure it out. So it's not or something that you're going to copy from someone else and all of that. So idea generation, you figure out how you're going to handle your business, how you're going to take your stops, how you're going to arrive to that big business that you want to own and stuff like that. So that can be seen as a step by step guide as well. So I think the next one we have is capital planning. Capital planning. Oh my god, a lot of people used to cry. Capital planning, capital planning. At first, knowing the type of business you want to invest in and knowing the cost is something that you have to consider, because okay, you not be a university student or trying to or what's it called, survive school bills and or your personal bills, and you're going to start a business that can cost you a lot of money. No, 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 it's going to affect you. So this is more like you need to structure yourself well. Now you need to, as I said, firstly is know the business you want to do, check its costs. Like you're going to check its cost. That is where capital comes in. You're going to check what it can cost you to establish this, what you can, like it's just more like capital process, how big is it, how small it is. Now this capital process help you to evaluate and check if actually you can actually do that. Now you could not be students, maybe you just start thinking of selling cars. Check it now, you check it, no, let's just bring it down. It's not always going to work. Even if you have the money, it's going to affect you because it requires a lot of time. That's number one. It requires a lot of things is just involved. So you choose a particular business that you can easily go away with, and easily going away with will mean is just that something that you can balance together with your school life. And when we're talking about business, we're not telling you to ignore school. Get our point. It's much more like easy, something that you can get to start doing even when you're still in school, because maybe if you're out, it can be a source of survival. That's just what we're trying to bring to the picture. It can be a source of survival. It can be as or something that backs or a kind of a backup system when it has to do with financial aspect. So it's just more like something that will save you. It's okay. Everything we're talking about here is just more like saving oriented. Let's just say it's saving oriented because it's actually going to save you and you getting it done or you starting it up, is not, you're not going to regret it. So that is just, this is just possible ways it can help. And helping, like, you're not going to just be stranded, you're not going to be stuck in any points of your life, you're not going to feel frustrated or look like one of it. So that's just, and that is when idea generation comes in. Okay, that is where capital planning. And okay, let me just say small a few things about capital planning. Now, as again, is more like you're going to plan. Planning, I mean, okay, at first, if you was to get the meaning of planning, just more like a more appropriate way to do something. That's the essence of planning. Now, mind you, if you did something and fail, people will be like, you didn't plan this, you did not check yourself. Well, that's the essence of planning. So if planning is in the contents, that means it's more like an appropriate way, the best way. So if we're talking about or capital plan, you have to actually examine yourself when it has to do with capital planning. Know what it costs and how you're going to go about with the fee and how you're going to survive. That is just it. So you cannot just you or be that is going to take all of your time. So it's going to affect you as a student if you take that path, or if you fail not to do a kind of a solid plan. So that's for that. And again, what we have here is more like, okay, time planning. Now, haven't done your capital planning, time planning. This is where a lot of people do a lot of mistakes, and it to affect one aspect, maybe their life or school. Sorry, maybe their business side or school side. So I said it's time planning. Time planning, I mean, is more like you're going to structure outside, you're going to map out, you're going to schedule yourself well. It's just more like you trying to distinguish your business time and your studying plan, studying time, trying to or detach, or let's just say trying to fish out or crep out your studying time and your academic period, because I everything will say you're bringing it from a view, or let's just say from the sense, or let's just say from a picture that we are referring to students. So we're not going to a kind of neglect the aspect of studying, because you are actually a student. And being a student, and we're talking about a starting up a business or starting up something. Now we're going to also consider the academic aspects and your grades also, because that's the essence, or let's say the primary objective that you're in this school, to make good grades and graduate with excellent results. So it's not going to be neglected or like overlooked. So actually going to consider that, and considering it, you're actually going to know how you're going to cope up with this business. Now, if it's a business that requires a shop, you're going to uh uh you're not going to venture into that. So it was even to suggest to your business for students, for young adults, for undergraduate students, just more like uh 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 business online, things that they can do, skills and maybe digital work, things that they can just do, maybe video editing, graphic designing, and freelancing, and affiliate marketing, stuff like that, that they can easily do most at times on their comfort zone. And it can really generate income if you can actually do it in a more appropriate way. So if you're talking about students, young adults starting up business, you're not going to neglect or their studying side or studying or time. It actually needs to be map out. It needs to. There is this saying that if you take something, like, if you, I don't know, if you do something, or let's say if you do A more than B, okay, B is going to be slacking in some areas. So that is just, you're going to balance, just more like balancing your business with your academics, more like balancing your business with your studying life. So to do this is also okay. It's just like weekly something, or let's say weekend something. Now maybe your business is more like online, maybe taking orders, delivering more like service. So and it's just the best or business that student can easily go on with. You're not advised to own a physical shop as a student, as a young adult, even if you're managed to own it during the week, or like during the weeks, or let's just say your normal let's say sell strategy or sell time going to be, or is going to be more of order. You get, maybe during weekend you just consider opening your shop, stuff like that. So you're not going to neglect school or neglect studying or time or neglect lecture time. So that's just it. And it's more advisable that any student that is trying or planning or even or detecting or the actual problem to solve, or when it has to do with starting up a business that people want, starting up something that is real, and starting up something that is in high demand, you have to also consider the time factor and the effect it will have. So it's more like students to, or should take the path of more like feasible business ideas. And I think in one of our live stream section we'll get to point out some flexible business, some flexible skills that students can equally invent, or let's just say start doing, that can equally yield money for them, that they can actually get income in, not necessarily physical shop. So in one of our sections like that, we do it so as to, or it kind of helps students see more business ideas that can equally align, or let's say they can equally manage without ignoring or studying time and stuff like that. So that's for that. And I think that's what we have today. I think that's the end of today life section. So I don't know if you have watched up to this and we have or it's actually interest you one, and maybe you got something. We unveil something, like you open your eyes in seeing something in a different view, or something that the most goal, or let's just is actually benefited something from this season. Maybe you're just considering giving us a thumbs up, or if you've not subscribed to our channel, you just try subscribing to our channel, or as well follow us on other social media handles, YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram. You have graphics, all social media handles, and get to unlock, or get the knowledge of some tips, or how you can equally, or what life looks like, what life after school looks like, and how you can equally manage or expect things that comes after it, or before it, or within it, or alongside with it. So that's for that. And if you watch to this, I really appreciate the fact that you watch. It's not taken for granted. You have graphics, appreciate the fact, and I'm giving you a thumbs up for that. So maybe you guys just get to join us as well tomorrow section coming up tomorrow from 12 or so. Just check UF graphics, you're going to see us, and maybe try joining us. So, and again, maybe you just try referring us to your friends, your or young adults, people you think needs this knowledge, people you think that needs to hear all of this and get to, or check, or let's just say gets to start taking a different step, because time is what they say does not wait for you. So you're not to, you're to start acting on it, and it's going to help you both in your life and future. So that is just it, and that is just our goal, to see a young adult succeeding, to see a young adult excelling in academies and in life, not to see them being frustrated, and to limit, if not, or to stop totally that saying that school is a scam, which is actually not. So that's for that. And doing that is more like our goal and our priority, what we prioritize more. So that's for that. So as I after to this, I really not take it for granted, and I really applaud you for that. So at the pointing moment you're going offline, so maybe you just drop your name, drop your location, maybe drop your business idea, or what you feel that you want to venture into, or what you're in already, or any question that relates to this, you can just call it, drop it, then we'll get to what's it called again, or reply you guys. So that's for that, guys. And at the moment we're going to offline. Thanks for watching. It's not taken for granted. I really regard that. All right, guys.